The colony of New Terraform had seen its share of alien species, but the Drakari were something else entirely. Their scaled bodies shimmered with iridescent patterns, their wings folded against backs that spoke of ancient power, and their society operated on codes of honor that humanity was still trying to understand. James Chen had been working the docks for 3 years, moving cargo between human and alien vessels. It was honest work, if backbreaking, and it paid enough to send credits home to Earth. He'd learned to nod respectfully at the Drakari nobles, who occasionally passed through, their entourages glittering with ceremonial armor. That day started like any other. James was supervising the unloading of a Drakari trade vessel when he heard the screaming. A child, barely more than a hatchling by Drakari standards, had wandered away from its guardian and into the industrial sector. The young dragon's scales were still soft, colored in the pale gold of youth, and behind it a malfunctioning cargo loader was sparking, its plasma containment failing with increasing violence. James saw the energy building before anyone else did. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the memory of his own niece back on Earth, her laugh, her trust. He didn't think. He ran. The first blast caught him in the shoulder as he scooped up the hatchling. The second burned across his back. By the time he'd thrown himself and the child behind a reinforced container, he'd counted 12 direct hits. His hazard suit was in tatters, his skin beneath scorched and blistered. The pain was distant, shock already setting in. The last thing he remembered was the hatchling's golden eyes staring at him with something like wonder, and the sound of Drakari, warriors finally arriving, their voices raised in alarm. James woke to softness. Not the harsh medical bay he'd expected, not the sterile white of a human hospital. His eyes opened to see fabric the color of deep crimson draped above him, embroidered with silver thread that formed patterns he couldn't quite decipher. The bed beneath him was massive, easily twice the size of his tiny apartment bunk. And sitting beside him, watching with eyes like molten amber, was the most striking Drakari woman he'd ever seen. Her scales were deep blue, almost black, shot through with veins of silver that caught the light. She wore armor even at rest, a breastplate of some dark metal that seemed to absorb shadows. Her wings were folded but massive, their span suggesting power and nobility. When she noticed his eyes open, she straightened, and James realized with a start that she'd been holding his hand. "You wake," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that no human throat could produce. "This is good." James tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Every nerve screamed, but before he could collapse, her hand, scaled, clawed, surprisingly gentle, pressed against his chest. "No, you rest. Your flesh is weak. It heals but slowly." There was no judgment in her words, only statement of fact. "The kid," James croaked. "The hatchling. Is he?" "My son lives because of you." Her amber eyes held his. "You are in my private chambers. You have been here 3 days. Our healers have worked without ceasing. Your son?" James blinked, trying to process. The armor, the private chambers, the way even her guards stood at attention outside the door. "I am Seraphina, High Commander of the Drakari Third Fleet, General of the Eastern Reaches." She said it matter-of-factly, as one might give directions. "My son is my only heir. You saved him when my guards failed. When I failed." James's mind raced. In human terms, he'd just saved the child of someone equivalent to a 4-star general. But this was Drakari society, with its complex honor codes he barely understood. Anyone would have. "No." Her voice was sharp, cutting. "You took 12 plasma blasts. Our warriors wear armor that would have shielded them. You wore only cloth and flesh. You should have died. The medical team says any one of those blasts should have killed a human." She leaned closer, studying him with an intensity that made him acutely aware of her proximity. "Why?" James thought about lying, about giving some noble reason, but those amber eyes seemed to see through him. "I have a niece back home. She's about his age. I saw him and I moved." Seraphina was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, she reached up and touched a claw gently to his chest, right over his heart. It was a gesture he'd seen Drakari make but never understood. In our culture, she said softly, there is a bond called keshatar, sacred debt. When one saves the life of another at risk of their own, particularly a child, a bond is formed that cannot be broken. Her eyes met his again. You are now keshatar to my house, under my protection, part of my family. I don't understand, James whispered. A slight smile curved her lips, revealing sharp teeth. You will learn. But understand this, James Chen. You may have come to this world as a dock worker, but you will leave as something far greater, if you leave at all. There was something in her gaze. Respect, certainly, but something else, something warmer. The High Council already speaks of you, she continued. The human who shamed our warriors with his courage. Already offers come from noble houses seeking to know you, to honor you. But you are mine to protect now. Mine to honor. James realized his hand was still in hers, scales warm against his skin. And, Serafina added, her voice dropping to something almost intimate, my son demands to meet his savior properly. He has declared you Skaltar, dragon friend. He is young, but his word carries weight in our culture. I should probably not be in your bed then, James said, the words coming out before he could stop them. Serafina's laugh was like bells and thunder. Human, you understand nothing of Drakari honor. You are exactly where you should be. Her wings shifted, creating a canopy of shadow over them both. And here you will stay until you are healed. Perhaps longer. Outside, James could hear the bustle of an alien military installation. But in this moment, in this impossible situation, he felt something he hadn't felt since leaving Earth. He felt like he belonged.